Okay. Deep breath. The subjunctive mood often feels like the final boss for learners.
Huh. It can feel that way, but think of it as expressing a different perspective. It's used when the main clause expresses things like doubt, uncertainty, commands, suggestions, feelings, emotions.
About something in the dependent clause, often with a different subject, right?
Exactly. It's about subjectivity, possibility, desire, doubt. Not necessarily cold, hard facts.
So indicative mood states facts, like confirmó, he confirmed.
Yes.
Subjunctive expresses doubt, like duda que, confirma. He doubts that he will confirm.
That's a perfect contrast. The trigger in the main clause, the doubt, makes you use subjunctive in the second part.
And there are lots of triggers, aren't there? Specific verbs and phrases.
Loads. Verbs of wanting, wishing, preferring queer, preferir when the subject changes. Verbs of doubt, dudar. Expressions of emotion, me sorprende que. I'm surprised that. Se alegra de que. He's happy that.
Impersonal expressions, too, like es necesario que. It's necessary that.
Very common trigger. Es importante que, es bueno que. All usually followed by subjunctive if there's a change of subject.
And certain conjunctions, like para que, so that.
Yes, conjunctions introducing purpose. Para que, a fin de que. Condition, con tal que provided that. A menos que, unless. Time, antes de que, before. Cuando, when, if future uncertain. Concession, aunque, even if, when uncertain. They often require subjunctive.
Yeah, okay. And even in adjective clauses.
Yeah. If you're describing a noun that is indefinite or non-existent, busco un trabajo que sea interesante. I'm looking for a job that is interesting. I don't know if it exists. So, subjunctive.
Compared to tengo un trabajo que es interesante, I have a job that is interesting fact, indicative.
You've got it. There's also an imperfect subjunctive for past hypotheticals and pluperfect subjunctive for really unlikely past if clauses. But the present subjunctive is the main one to master first.
And commands, the imperative mood, sometimes get lumped in with subjunctive, right?
Some grammarians view them that way, especially the negative commands and the formal commands. And yeah, there are even a few irregular negative vosotros commands, like no vayáis, don't go, no sepáis, don't, no seáis, don't be.
Okay, that's a massive area, the subjunctive. We're covering so much ground. Let's shift to connecting ideas, relative pronouns.
Good idea. These are your connector words. Que, that, which, who, is the most common.
Used for people and things.
Yep. Then you have quién, whom, and it's plural quiénes, which refer only to people, often used after prepositions or for clarity in non-defining clauses, and donde for where.
And what about el que, la que, los que, las que, and the el cual family? When do those pop up?
They offer more clarity, especially after prepositions or when there might be confusion about which noun is being referred to. El cual and its forms are maybe a bit more formal, but el que is pretty common.
So useful for precision, okay? Showing possession, belonging.
Two main ways. First, short form possessive adjectives before the noun.
Mi, tu, su.
Right. Me, tu, your informal. Su, his, her, it's your formal, their. Nuestro, our vuestro, your plural formal. Mi libro, nuestra casa.
Straightforward. What's the other way?
Using the long form possessive adjectives after the noun. Mío, tuyo, vuestro, vuestro.
So, el libro mío.
La casa nuestra. Exactly. They have to agree in gender and number with the noun they follow. It's a bit like saying the book of mine or that house of ours. Adds a slightly different emphasis sometimes.
Got it. Now, adverbs, modifying words.
Yep, they modify verbs, adjectives, or even other adverbs. Tell you how, when, where, how much.
And a common way to form them is adding emente to the feminine form of an adjective.
That's the main way for adverbs of manner. Lento, slow. Lenta, feminine form. Lentamente, slowly. Rápido. Rápida, rápidamente, quickly.
And where do they usually sit in a sentence?
Often after the verb they modify. Habla lentamente, he speaks slowly. Or before an adjective or another adverb. Is muy inteligente, she's very intelligent. Va bastante despacio, he's going quite slowly.
And they don't change for gender or number, right? Adverbs stay the same.
Correct, one form fits all. Now, prepositions. Tiny words, huge job.
Totally. De, en, a, para, por, con, sin, essential glue.
They show relationships, location, time, origin, destination, purpose, cause, everything. De, off from, en, any non, a, to, para, for, in order to, por, for, by, through, because of.
And some verbs demand a specific preposition before an infinitive, right? Like aprender a, learn to.
Exactly. Aprender a, empezar a, ayudar a. Or others take de, like tratar de, try to, terminar de, finish doing, or in, like insistir and insist on. Learning those verb preposition combos is crucial.
Yeah, those can be tricky, but so important for sounding natural. Okay, almost there. Asking questions, interrogative words.
Your question starters: ¿Qué? What? ¿Quién? ¿Quiénes? ¿Whose? ¿Cómo? ¿Cuándo? ¿When? ¿Dónde? ¿Where? ¿Por qué? ¿Why? ¿Cuál? ¿Cuáles? ¿Which? ¿Cuánto usas? How much many?
And they almost always have that written accent mark, right? To show it's a question word.
Yes, that distinguishes them from the non-question words like ¿Qué? That, or ¿Cuándo? When? ¿Dónde vives? Where do you live? ¿Cuántos años tienes? How many years do you have? i.e., how old are you?
Perfect. Okay, so we've covered a ton of grammar. How does vocabulary fit in? Any tips from the sources tied to this?
Definitely. Both sources are packed with examples. Pay attention to those irregular verbs we mentioned, the adjectives that change with Sarah Star, the time expressions. That's all vocabulary building.
And Madrigal's really emphasizes cognates, right? Words that are similar in English and Spanish.
Absolutely. They're like freebies. Words ending in on, al, ible, ente, often very similar, probable, possible, importante, diferente.
And that trick of changing English eek to Spanish eco, like Atlantic to Atlantic.
Often works. Democratic, democratico, electric, electrico. Huge vocabulary boost right there.
And English A sometimes becomes Spanish itzia, like distance, distancia.
Yes, and those itzia words are usually feminine. Importancia, experiencia, inteligencia. Spotting these patterns helps enormously.
It really ties the grammar and vocabulary together.
It does. It shows it's not just random rules, but a system with connections.
Phew. Well, you definitely made it. We have taken a seriously deep dive into Spanish grammar today, pulling from those great sources.
We really have, from nouns and articles through all those verb tenses and moods. Ser versus estar. Subjunctive.
Oh,
wow.
Hopefully you're feeling a bit clearer now, getting beyond just memorizing to really feeling how the language works a bit more.
That's the goal, moving towards that intuitive grasp.
So here's a final thought for you to take away. As you hear or read, Spanish could be music, a menu, anything.
Try to actively spot these things we've talked about. Ask yourself, why do they use subjunctive there? Oh, that's a star. Because it's the location. Hey, there's a cognate.
Exactly. Turn that passive hearing into active noticing. It's such a powerful way to make it stick and keep learning.
Couldn't agree more. That active observation really deepens the understanding.
Absolutely. So keep exploring, keep noticing, and definitely keep that curiosity going until our next deep dive.